I'm Janelle Nanos, business reporter with the Boston Globe, and this is Bold Types, conversations with Boston's business leaders. Today, we're talking with Greg Schell, Managing Director of Bain Capital's Double Impact Fund.
Impact investing is the opportunity to use capital in ways that are advantageous to society and or the environment. When we embarked on this challenge a few years ago, we did so with the idea in mind that impact investing had been around in many forms for a long time. But it hadn't really been done at scale and not necessarily on behalf of institutional investors. And we told investors that we'd aim for the same rate of return that our flagship fund does and the rest of the firm, but we would do so by identifying companies who were doing interesting things in society, and where we'd really be purposeful about measuring the social impact that they were having. These companies would have had repeatable success with an interesting business model, but are at that point in their lives where getting a scaled equity check allows them to enhance their business model and grow, but also to really establish, and grow their societal impact.
When you're thinking about impact investing, you can't necessarily measure growth and success the same way you would with a traditional investment, right?
We've built a team, in the Double Impact Fund, really to attack that challenge. We identify companies much in the way any private equity fund would, but we consider opportunities according to some impact themes that we really like. In every case, our companies have a mission at the root of what they're doing. We tend to invest behind mission-aligned CEOs and founders, management teams and entrepreneurs who are doing things beyond just trying to grow their company. They have broader concerns, and so that it would imply as the bigger this company gets and the more successful they become, so too will their impact be extended into society.
Can you talk with me a little bit more about some of the investments you've made recently with the Double Impact Fund and how they sort of, symbolize some of the work that you're trying to do?
We've invested in a local company called Penn Foster. This is a business that is really about the certification and training of low and middle skilled labor. We believe that workforce development and giving greater access to that population is one of society's great challenges. We're very fortunate to work with an incredible CEO who we've gotten to know incredibly well in over a long period of time, who is out proselytizing to companies and to individuals the opportunity to take advantage of this vast, underemphasized and undertapped resource, which is to say the reskilling and upskilling of America's labor pool is perhaps our greatest opportunity for economic growth and development in the country today.
There's been a through line of sorts that I think I've sort of looking at your background. I was hoping you could talk a little bit about that, the work that you've done.
To the extent that there's a single thread that runs through my career, it's this. I am completely fascinated by the way financial markets work. I was fortunate to have an internship when I was in college that exposed me to the public equity markets for the first time. And it was a revelation of a world that I had no exposure to, that attracted all these incredible people and all this talent on the one hand, but significant amounts of money and decisions that were being made about how money ought to move, affecting people's day-to-day lives. It was clear to me that my entire life had been spent effectively not knowing that this game was being played without my knowledge. On the other hand, I've always been bothered frankly, by the disparities that exist in our society. And I think the reason why is that, we as a society are believing, the big lie, which is that, there has to be an underclass in order to make society work. And my view of this has always been the case that human capital investments are always the best investments to make.
Where do you find yourself being bold on a daily basis?
One of the really exciting things about what I get to do professionally every day is to really challenge the orthodoxy that says that companies can exist only in service to increasing profits. By finding entrepreneurs and management teams to invest behind who are doing incredible things in society, that's bold. And I think our opportunity to really make a broader statement than the size of our fund, that's possible, is something that is truly igniting for me personally. So I had a chance to go to school right across the river, and it's been a remarkable more than 20-year period to see what's happened in our city. And I look at not just the development of Kendall, which really was a parking lot when I was in school, but you look into Somerville and what's happening there. You look at what's happening in North Station, of course the Seaport. There are these pockets of explosive growth and development happening in our city, and that's amazing. There are all sorts of reasons to be excited about what's happening in the city of Boston. But the things that you see here and the ways that you see possibilities over here, you just don't see it this way. When you think about this part of the city, Roxbury and Dorchester and into Mattapan in particular, we just don't see the kind of growth and development, and parts of our city are being left behind. If the last 20 years were good for certain sections of the city, it is my hope that the next 20 years will be as good to those neighborhoods as the last 20 have been to other parts of the city.
We've changed venues a little bit now. We're on the top of the bowling building in the center of Dudley Square. Why is this space relevant to you?
We're so close to the Back Bay and to downtown, but how far away it seems to a lot of people who live and grow up here. There are a lot of young people and students who've never been to Fenway Park, who've never been to the Symphony, who've never experienced Boston area institutions, and that's wrong, and that's something that we can change. But this is also a place that speaks to the history of the city of Boston, and this is a place that had great prominence at one time in our city's history, and I think it's time for us to reclaim that prominence for this neighborhood and neighborhoods like it all around the city. When I look at people in this neighborhood, the thing that I most see is myself. This is not unlike a neighborhood that I grew up in my own hometown of New Bedford, and to make this a place of opportunity for all its citizens feels like the right thing, not just for these people or these neighborhoods, but for our whole city. We'd be a better city for it. People that are born in this neighborhood are capable of any thing that they dare to dream, and I know that because my own life serves as testimony to that.